Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 12th day of December in the year 2023. Sure hope you are enjoying your Tuesday, no matter where it is you are in the country. A little bit of a chilly day here in the Northeast, but I guess that's what happens when it becomes December. It does get cold like this, even though it was in the 60s on Sunday afternoon with the rain. So I hope you're enjoying this day, as I hope you enjoy every day. We welcome in our dear friend Carmen de Jesus, who is watching with us today from somewhere around town, I'm sure in Kearny. And as you do each and every Tuesday, you welcome me into your home so that I might bring you this week's news. And when I tell you we have a lot to get to today, I am not kidding. We have a ton to get to today, but I'm going to try to go in a little bit of an order, maybe reverse of importance, but this is not in any way, shape, or form unimportant. And before I get to that, Frida Gorman is here. And Frida, it's a pleasure to see you here. Thank you so much for coming by. I love her icon that says she pooped today, not I voted today. She pooped today. Good job, Frida. Great stuff as always. But as we get into things today, you see this generic picture of a 2023 Kia. And the reason I bring this to your attention is because I heard from Sergeant Mike Gontarchuk today, who told me that there were 3 attempted thefts to a Kia today in the town of Kearny, overnight into about 10 o'clock this morning. And just a few minutes ago, I even saw on my own Ring doorbell alert that somebody had mentioned that their vehicle was stolen from a parking lot in Kearny overnight as well. So apparently, I didn't know this, but these Kias, the alarm system on them, they're very, very easy to trip. And when they're very easy to trip, that means the cars are very easy to steal. Now, this one particular case, as we welcome in our dear friend Melanie Ryan, good afternoon, Melanie. In this one particular case, one of the Kias was, there was a group of 3 14-year-olds, 2 from Newark, 1 from another town, and they were trying to break into this Kia. And in their attempt to break into the Kia, the police were able to, fortunately, collar 2 of them. And then this one kid apparently went on top of the roof of a garage for a car dealership on Belgrove Drive. I guess it's probably the classic car dealership down at the lower end of Belgrove. I'm not 100% sure. But the kid was hiding out on the roof. But at this point, when they couldn't find this one final attempted thief, the traffic unit, Sergeant Dave Rakowski and Officer Rich Pulaski, deployed the drone. And when they did that, within seconds, they were able to find this third 14-year-old who was hanging out on a rooftop and then who jumped off a roof and then was quickly arrested. So here's the thing. There have been a series of attempted break-ins to Kias. This one involved 3 14-year-old kids. It's kind of sad that there are 14-year-old children who are trying to break into vehicles and steal them, but that's exactly what happened overnight. If you are a Kia owner, take greater precautions with your vehicles. Make sure you put them in well-lit areas. Have somebody watching and checking occasionally, because they are prone to being stolen, and we don't want to see that happen. But that is what happened today. And the Kearny PD was already able to bring in 3 of these little kids who were out on a gallivanting trip trying to steal a Kia. They were unsuccessful, and because of the deployment of the drones, Rich Pulaski and Jordy Jean were very, very instrumental in getting the drones. They did all the work, even though Pete Santana took credit for it. The truth of the matter is they were the ones who did all the work. So I hope you know that these drones were excellent investments. They truly were. So they already paying off. There have been, Mike Gontarchuk was telling me there have been other cases already where they were came in handy. They were able to locate suspects in other cases, and this was another example of that. So job well done indeed by the Kearny Police Department yesterday in being able to come up with these 3 kids who were out on a trip trying to steal these vehicles yesterday. So they are in custody, are these three, and as Mike said, they'll probably be released and have no consequences, unfortunately. We welcome in our friend Mary Beth Kennedy, who is also watching from Kearny, I'm sure, somewhere. Mary Beth, always good to see you. It was good to see you last week as well in person. Anytime we get to see you in person is always a good day. Now, we're going to move on to something else that happened this afternoon. I just had to show you this. This is my Mini right here. And you see that line right there? You know what that is? That's chalk. And on the tire, that's chalk too. The Auxiliary Police Department in Lyndhurst actually goes around and chalks the vehicles so that if you're parked there for more than 2 hours or whatever the limit is, I don't even know what it was. I was only there for like 30 seconds when it got chalked. You're going to get a ticket. So if you think it's bad in your town, just think about what this is like. That was what I came up with today when I went to a store for about 15 minutes earlier today. And I just had to share that. I thought it was very, very interesting that they actually go around and chalk the vehicles so that if you're parked too long, you're going to wind up getting a ticket. Now, yesterday in Kearny, St. Jude's Relic was at St. Stephen's Church, and I had a chance to go at about 3:30 yesterday. I don't know if any of you were able to go over there. Were you? If you were, it was something to behold. This was a bone that was believed to be the St. Jude, who was one of Jesus' 12 apostles. And in the United States, this relic is taking a tour. It's been in New York, on Long Island, Staten Island, and now it's in New Jersey. And it was at St. Stephen's Church yesterday. I had a chance to go, and I wear a St. Jude medal around my neck. You could probably see it right here. You see it right there? I'm kind of wiggling it. And it is now what is considered a third-class relic because yesterday the relic that you see on your screen right there has glass in front of it, and I was able to touch it, which makes it a third-class relic. And that means, by extension, it's a proxy relic of St. Jude, the Apostle. And it was a very moving experience. It really was. I have to be honest with you. I was like sort of emotional when I got up to the relic case. I spoke with Father Joe earlier this morning, and he tells me that there was an estimate of between 1,700 and 2,000 people who came to venerate the relic of St. Jude, who is, of course, the patron saint of helpless causes. So you can imagine why I love St. Jude as much as I do, and I know so many people do. He's the favorite saint of so many people. And almost 2,000 people were there at St. Stephen's throughout the day yesterday. They were open from 1 to 10. And Mike Perrone from Belleville said he got there at about 9 o'clock, and it took about an hour for him to get to the actual relic. So a great job by the Catholic Church for bringing this here to the United States. It's normally, of course, in Rome. And a phenomenal pat on the back to Father Joe Mancini for being able to be one of the few churches in the Archdiocese of Newark who were able to bring the relic here to Kearny. So I was very, very moved by it all, and I hope if any of you got to see it, you were as well. And as we do that, we welcome in our buddy Manny Ventoso, who is also watching us from I wonder where today. We'll play Where in the World is Manny Ventoso Jr. in a moment, and I'm sure he will share with us where in New Jersey he is right now, because he could be just about anywhere. Now, before we get to the top story of the day, I want to show you this, because this is Kyle Ostanski. He is the third on the right. Kyle Ostanski is Heather Ostanski and Chris Ostanski's son, and Heather, of course, you will know from the Greeks. Her son Kyle is out in California. He is a member of the United States Marines, and he is a wonderful young kid. He's not a kid anymore. He's like 21 now, I think. And he just had advanced machine gunnery training out in California, and he keeps just doing great things. So we wanted to recognize Kyle today for all of the hard work that he's been putting in and doing the class of 2020 at Kearny High School. Very, very proud, and doing mom and dad proud, I'm sure, and all of his siblings as well. So, Kyle, you're probably not watching this because you're out in California and you're busy, but we are all so, so very proud of you for all that you have accomplished in your career in the military over the last 3 years. Job well done, buddy. Everybody is very proud of you. Now, the top story of the day is one that I need to, I think, explain already, because there are some people who are out there who are saying that I have been very, very unfair to the new councilman, Renato da Silva, which is just furthest from the truth. I have not been unfair to him at all. In fact, nothing that I've said about Renato da Silva at all was meant to be disparaging at all. I don't know him. I've never met him before. I do know a lot of people who do know him now. Okay, that's something we learned after he was appointed to the Kearny Town Council. But what I do want to say is this, that the process to appoint him to the Kearny Town Council, and again, I will make this very clear, it is very possible, and I'm sure that's what we're going to learn, that Renato da Silva is a great man. He's married to Dawn Haberther. And if you are a Haberther, you know that the Haberther family is a great family. They've been around for decades in this community. And I'm sure we're going to learn eventually that Renato is a wonderful human being. And I will be there to support him as a newspaper editor and a journalist who covers this town and who has since 1992. But what I cannot sit back here and not make points about is the sheer reality that 1 week ago tonight, when the Kearny Town Council got together, and they did, and Fred Esteves was knocked around, and then Renato was nominated by Rich Konopka, the 2nd Ward councilman, to take the seat. Councilman Jerry Facito looked over to Mr. Konopka and said, excuse me, Mr. Konopka, can you do me a favor? Can you tell us something about what is going on and something about this candidate? Is there anything you could share with us that would help us to make a more informed decision as to who the candidate is? And I'm going to tell you why he asked that question. It's because when Mayor Doyle nominated Fred Esteves, Al Santos' brother-in-law, to receive that spot, she listed off all of the things that he did when he was on boards, including the Zoning Board of Adjustment, the Friends of the Kearny Library, etc., etc. So she basically gave what I would consider a resume of what Fred Esteves has done to deserve being nominated to go on to the town council. He didn't get the votes. The vote was 3-5 against him. And then when Mr. Facito raised his hand and asked Councilman Konopka what he knew about Mr. da Silva, Konopka looked around and he said, I'll have to Google it. I'm not kidding you. He said, I'll have to Google it. And so I thought about that for a little while. When a sitting councilman asks another one what the rationale is for putting this man on the council, the man who nominated him to take the seat, the man who said, I want you to be our guy, couldn't give a single reason why he was being put on the council. He couldn't say, oh, well, he's involved in this club, or he's involved with that. He couldn't say, he couldn't say anything. And then Councilwoman Eileen Eckel, I would say almost rudely, interrupted the mayor and said that she was resentful that this was even happening, and that the reason she thought he was worthy of being on the council was because he raised 2 children in Kearny and owns a home there. He owns a home there, and he raised his children there. I don't care who the nominee is. If that is your best rationale for choosing a candidate, you didn't do your homework. You didn't do your homework. And then I saw this 2 days ago, yesterday morning, a story on another website that said that one of the things that brings him joy into this community spirit is that he walks his dog in town with his wife. And now that's great, but that is not the reason or a reason to put somebody on the council. I want to know the meat and bones of what they've done. And the more I thought about it, the more and more I thought about it, there was no vetting done at all on this guy. There was none at all on Mr. Da Silva. When you or I are applying for a job, I'm going to give you an example. Back in 2021, some of you know that I left the Observer for 10 days and took a job with the Jersey Journal. That lasted 10 days because I missed it here so much. And when I did, and I applied to New Jersey Advanced Media, they checked my background. They checked everything possible about me. They spoke with 3 people who were character references, who wanted to know what kind of person I was. They did all sorts of checks. They went through people who I used to work with and people who I've covered. There were people who I worked alongside with, police officers, higher-ranking police officers, chiefs of police in police departments. The background check was immensely thorough. And you want to know why they did that? Because they wanted to make sure they were hiring somebody who didn't have a criminal background, who didn't have a messed up life, who wasn't a child abuser or anything of that nature that you could find if you do a thorough background check on somebody who has broken the law. Now, before you go pointing fingers, this is not a suggestion that anything that I just said has anything to do with any of the people who were nominated for the council. But what I am suggesting here is that when you are going to put somebody in a council seat, one of 9 who controls a budget that, as I said in my editorial this week, is never been closer to $100 million, to have not even done a background check is disgustingly irresponsible. When you are putting somebody in a seat of authority that way, you vet them. When there is a new president of the United States, do you think there isn't a vetting process on who the Secretary of State is, who the Secretary of Defense is, who the Secretary of Homeland Security is, who anybody who walks into the White House is? No. They do an extensive background check on those people to make sure they are where they should be. And to not have even done that is wrong. It is absolutely wrong. I am not offering opinions here. I am not lecturing here. I am talking about simple matters of reality that happen to every town employee in every town we cover, not just Kearny. When there are job postings that Paula Cavalier sends out and puts out on our website in Kearny, New Jersey, and theobserver.com and wherever else she advertises, background checks required. Some of them require fingerprinting. Could you imagine if George King, the chief of our police department, hired police officers and didn't do a background check on them? No, you couldn't. Because even the library monitors, who are wonderful employees in the town of Kearny, have their backgrounds checked. Everybody who takes a town job, their backgrounds are checked. But now somebody who is going to be responsible for an $80 million plus budget is going to just be given a chair and say, go. You tell me what world that makes sense in, and I'll give you your bridge. But you can't convince me under any circumstances that putting somebody on a town council without doing an iota of background checking is responsible. And I'm going to tell you, the 5 people who voted to put him in the council seat, and again, I pray to Almighty God that Mr. De Silva turns out to be a wonderful member of the council, and I will do everything I can to make sure he gets there on my part. But Eileen Eckel, Rich Konopka, George Zapata, Stat Theodoropoulos, and Dennis Solano all voted for him. I'm sure today they know a little bit more about him, but when they were asked on Tuesday night, they couldn't say a word about him. And they voted for him. And then Eileen has the audacity to say that he's a homeowner and he raised his children here. Eileen, when you were put on the council, I don't remember if you were appointed or if you just ran. You were a member of the Board of Education. And you know very well that when you were a member of the Board of Education, as a teacher too, that you had to do background checks on every person who was ever hired to be a teacher. Okay? You know that. And you know that all of your colleagues, when you were a teacher, were always background checked. Why is it okay then to have put somebody on the council who was not background checked? Can you tell me that? I just cannot understand it. But that's what you did. That's exactly what you did. And the Fab Five did. The Fab Five voted yes to put a man on the council about whom they know nothing. In my world, that is utter dereliction of duty. But in their world, it's par for the course. And this is what happens when people do things for the sake of not what's best for the community, but for politics. This is gross politics. And this is the same person who said there was some kind of unity. That's a bunch of crap. There's no unity here. And Frida Goldman, who was here too, made a point. And she was absolutely lambasted by Laura Pettigrew, who is a member of the Kearny Board of Education. I'm going to read what Laura said. I love Laura. I've known Laura since I was in my 20s. I will always love her and Jack. But this is just bizarre. Frida, when did fact-based discussion regarding a specific candidate become part of the criteria to be a council person? When you and your ilk decided you didn't like the selection, you make up the rules after the fact. We are unhappy, so therefore we object. I, for one, am tired of the nonsense. Do something constructive and stop complaining. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I have seen nothing of substance come out of this new administration. Put up or shut up. Oh, really? Oh, really? Let's take this part by part. When did fact-based discussion regarding a specific candidate become part of the criteria to be a council person? Replace council person with member of the Board of Education, or county commissioner, or mayor, or state senator, or state assemblyman, or governor, or president of the United States, or member of Congress. Tell me a specific discussion that wasn't about the criteria why that person would become that person's seat. When was it not when was there not a discussion about who takes a seat, Laura? We do this for town employees, for anybody, for lifeguards, for library monitors. We do this for any position, but not for a member of the council. And you're going to slam Frida for having the audacity to bring that up? When you and your ilk decided you didn't like the selection, you made up the rules after the fact. These rules have been in place for hundreds of years. For hundreds of years. Do you think Frank E. Rogers just picked anybody to join his council when he was the mayor for 48 years in Harrison? No. Do you think Mayor Alberto G. Santos ever picked anybody about whom he didn't know to be on the town council in the 23 years he was mayor? No. We're unhappy, therefore we object. Yes. We object to not knowing. Laura says she's tired of the nonsense. Lead, follow, get out of the way. I've seen nothing of substance come out of this new administration. It's 2 weeks old. What substance do you want? I saw a former administration for 4 months of no substance. I saw an administration for 4 months of lies, innuendos, firing wonderful, innocent people. That's what I saw in 4 months. This has been 2 weeks. Give it a rest. Give it a rest. You don't want to say these things about an administration that has been going on, all right, 1 month and 3 days, whatever. The point is this. You've seen nothing out of this new administration. That's because, just like with the person you supported to get this seat, you haven't been paying attention. Because if you did, and if you were, you would have never allowed this to happen, but you did. And you did. That is the biggest sham of them all. It really is. It really and truly is. It is exactly 2 o'clock. And I think I've said enough for the day. And if I haven't gotten my point across now, I don't know if I ever will. But I can't believe some of the things that are being said out there. When has it ever been like par for the course for looking into a candidate's background? That is about as nonsensical as anything I've heard in the 38 years that I've lived in Kearny. It really is, and I'm ashamed. I really am. Laura, I love you. I'm sure after you see this, you're never going to talk to me again, and you probably say some pretty nice things about me, and that's fine. I love you to death, but you're wrong on this. I'm sorry. I really am. This is abhorrent, and it is an utter shame that this has happened. And I will conclude again one more time by saying I truly hope and pray that Renato da Silva does a wonderful job as a member of the council. I really do. But do it right. Do it the right way. Follow some kind of semblance of order. Don't just do this because it's what you want. Do it because it's the right thing. Do a background check. And don't act like this is not what's normally done. This is how it's done on a regular basis, everywhere, for any position, except third ward member of the council. We will sign off for now, and we will be back, of course, 1 week from today, or if anything happens during the course of the week. I want to thank each and every one of you for logging on and joining me today. I'm a little bit exhausted right now, but I appreciate you all tuning in. 1 week from today, anything else, we will be back. Oh, yeah, one more thing. Don't forget, that same seat will be up for re-election in June because it's only for 1 year. We will be back in a week, and if anything happens, we'll join you live from the newsroom of The Observer and theobserver.com. Kevin Kness is signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Take care, everybody.